soap in with the vinegar spray.
Uh-huh.
So when you come back, if you want to dump that ice in there, we could at least try to keep something cold in there.
All right, perfect.
And if you want.
What up, baby? Chase. Devin, the streets are showing up.
Oh, is it time?
The streets are here.
It's 10 minutes early.
I know. I had to get here 10 minutes early, though. So I let them down earlier.
Well, I have questions.
All right, just write your questions in. I'll answer them.
Gee, thanks.
You got it. Your questions go first.
Thanks, babe.
Chase, what up, baby? Mike B in the cut. Mr. Diaz. This is all right, I'm back. Donnie, Mike. I'm gonna go in the back house right now for this one. We need all sorts of privacy. And I just need to give my family some time, man. This was a stressful ass fucking day. This was like the first day that this shit actually... I've been trying to be cool as a cucumber through all this shit, but today was the day I just couldn't do it, man. Shit just hit me. It is sunny. Yo, that's the nicest thing. It is nice as shit here right now. The first couple weeks, we had mad rain. What up, Joe the Barber? And, but yeah, it is kind of getting nice now. Man, shit is real. Shit is mad real. Everyone's trying to keep their businesses intact. Schoolwork for the kids. Yeah, everything, man. Make sure everyone's health is good. Check on the elderly, check on your grandparents, your parents, aunts, uncles, whomever, you know. Make sure they straight. Penny, I got questions for you on Friday. So, the stuff that the street's been wanting to hear. Yeah, we are all in this together, though. That's for real. Who the fuck knows how long this shit's gonna last? Yeah, Donnie, we're good, man. We're, you know, just trying to keep everything together, man. I got a good partner who's mad helpful with everything with Standard Issue. Philly, nothing yet. I'm just waiting for Nino to hop on here. I just got in a couple minutes early. That was my fault earlier. I was just dealing with some shit, so I had to ask Nino to fall back for a little bit, which thankfully he could reschedule. And yeah, we're here now, though. Let me get some coffee. Cause this might be a long one. Nino is definitely combing his hair right now. He said he hit the gym. I said no day drinking today, man. We need a fresh, coherent headspace for Mr. Nino today. I got that Super Bowl cup. They don't sell these in Minnesota, I don't think. I don't think Atlanta either. They definitely ain't got them there. Tim, what up? Let me open the door up. Yeah, we got a nice little back house my father-in-law built for us when we moved in here. So we'll just be back here kicking it right now. Devin be recording back here. Sometimes we just kick back and watch movies or... Man, we'll get into that. So, because Nino ain't really like... The thing about Nino is, and I'll tell him this when he gets on here, is this guy has been there for so many things and so many people over the years and has never really... You know, he's like on social media, but he ain't like a flexer. He's been around, been doing shit since pre-social media. So, you know, I think a lot of guys, especially a lot of guys I look up to, so many things they did were like prior to Instagram, prior to Facebook. And they're dudes that like are so humble that they don't even, it's not even in their pedigree to like, to project those things. So, you know, it's nice to, you know, I always feel a certain responsibility in just making sure you know, generations aren't skipped in sharing that information and knowing, you know, oh, get the fuck out of here, Tim. You for real? You know, and yeah, Nino's one of them guys, man. So this will be a cool one if he shows up. It says 31, so I'm assuming that means 31,000 is in the building. Who else we got? Johnny. No Awake Classics going out right now, huh? No, all promo is shut down. Nobody even wants promo boxes right now, huh? They're like, fuck. I'm even like seeing the UPS guy come near the crib. Damn, Kappa. Yeah, Nino's, yeah, he's a legend, man. Born and raised in South Philly. Like on like Mafia streets, right across the street from the sports complexes, the original ones. Mick, Mick, I'm just trying to, that's my civic and social responsibility and duty to do so. No promo right now. Do I got Humaras on? Nah, I got these though. These are fire. I'm not gonna lie, they came in yesterday and I was kind of psyched. Hey, from Young E, he sent them out. Whitaker, that's your connect. Young E's over at Bodega doing awesome stuff. We got a couple rad Bodega boxes in the mail recently. Yeah, no promo right now. Let me see. Tony Luke's. Where's Nino? Where you at, buddy? There he is. Bong. Nino.
What's up?
What's up, baby?
This is really strange. I've never done this before.
He's here. Yeah, the numbers are growing. They're pouring in by the dozens for you, man. I take full responsibility for rescheduling, man. I had the full lineup broke for the week, and my refrigerator started acting up, man.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to figure out how to put together, kind of fix a refrigerator or order a new one in the middle of a pandemic. Luckily, we didn't. I was going to go grocery shopping today, so good thing we didn't.
My God, dude, there's so many names popping up here. It's so sick to see these people.
Yep, G. Rob Plahowski. Hey, Plahowski said he was going to come.
Yeah, I saw Dave Moyer pop up in there.
Dave Moyer.
Yeah.
Penny.
Great.
So.
That's great. G. Oh, man.
So look, before you jumped on here, I was saying, obviously, so much of what I do is enrooted in the stuff that we grew up in, and specifically the people that did these things, and like I was saying, it was like a lot of these people, they come from an era that was pre-social media, and I just think the way that different generations were brought up, that it wasn't so much a braggadocious and boasting style to what they did. You put these things together and you just let them do what they do. It wasn't like nowadays, like if I make some sweats, I got to post it. I got to say about it,
I think it's the good and the bad of social, though. It's like, I mean, on a certain level, there's no more gatekeepers, and so your destiny is in your hand. But on the other side, it's like, it's a lot of noise out there, and it's like it brings down the quality of things overall. Like, certain things become more visible for the wrong reasons. There's kids that have no sponsors or terrible skaters or clothing side are terrible designers, but they're just the loudest voice in the room or doing the most to get attention. It's like, it's insane sometimes.
But so that's what this is. That so you just defined it. So what we're trying to do is isolate that and get away from that. And I think people like you come from a pedigree and you set a standard that was the way that you had to move prior to.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know. It was tough back then, man. It was like, it was one of those things like you kind of had to be an asshole, because there was so much noise in the fucking room back then and everyone's trying to be your friend. I mean, dude, like, for instance, as soon as Josh moved to Philly, for instance, you know, during that era, all of a sudden everyone became entitled to ride for Alien, you know, like, and there was good skaters in Philly. It was just, but everyone was like, so, you know, and then you had, you know, more and more people, like, you know, Habitat happened, you had more riders there. And, you know, when I became the team manager for Alien, it was one of those things like everyone just feels entitled to do so, you know, and they didn't back then. If you had, let's say you had that microcosm of Love Park and you had kids that had like access like a YouTube or something to put their own stuff out instead of trying to hunt me down to hand me a sponsor me video or to, you know, send it to Alien in hopes that it gets sent to me, it would be a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like there was so many kids that were just like, you know, in my face and in Josh's face. And it was just like, oh, like, and it, you know, it was a good thing. It was like the sense that there was some West Coast brands, you know, well, Alien wasn't a West Coast brand, it was an Ohio brand, but all the riders for the most part were based out West. And then you have this accessibility, and accessibility is just like gaining access is just as much as a skill as what you're doing on the other side of trying to gain access. If you're a skater or a designer or a DJ, whatever it may be, that's just as much of a skill. Some people don't have it, which is why some of the best skaters just fell into the cracks. You know?
So that all right, that's good that you said that. So Alien, I'll even go back further. Me and you, my old head that had the skate shop around us, you were really close friends with. We met back then.
Steve Spurgeon.
Dude, the list goes on in terms of like what you have done for me. Dude, like, well, I got a job at Ubik because of you. I needed some extra money. I was only making $250 a month skating. You were like, boom, I get you a job at Ubik. Started in the stock room. You know, like I said earlier, reaching out to Sal when I was trying to get on aesthetics.
I remember, you know, I talked to him
at
specifically
ASR.
about. Well, it was the first time I talked to him was about you was at Tampa.
Oh yeah.
And then ASR was shortly thereafter. And and that was the first time I just, you know, unfortunately, like Habitat was like, we weren't putting anyone on at the time, and I was one of the kids that I wanted to back. You know?
Dude, the funniest story though is like, even when you're just like, I remember there was a point when I was still trying to figure out the mix with aesthetics, and you being like, look, you're in the mix here. You've done some stuff. People are they know who you are at this point. Like, it's a long shot, but I'll put your name in the mix. And I specifically remember going skating at certain times and being like, yo, like, that's a good source of motivation. Like, I know specific sessions where that was in the back of my mind. Like, yo, Nino threw out the idea of like, you know, is a long shot. You know what I mean? But like, that's kind of like what, you know, that those were always the life rafts that you threw me over the years, man. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's lots of kids that I tried to push through at Alien and other places that didn't even, you know, like you, as you know, like, I mean, I think more so now it's probably different. I mean, I've been out of the skate mix for so long, but like, I mean, fuck, you know, it's not just being a good skater, as we know, you know, there's certain, I mean, you know, down the road, you know, I'm sure we'll discuss, like, you know, Anthony Williams is the prime example. I mean, the dude was the most hated on guy ever. Granted, you know, he had his own personal issues, but I mean, I don't know if there's a better skater of that generation. The kid just couldn't get traction.
Anthony, that was on ice cream.
Yeah. We tried with, you know, everything. I tried everything I could to motivate his other people, you know, other sponsors, Mystery. I mean, it was basically just Mystery and ice cream, but like, it was just, he was so good. But, you know, as you know, it's a full package thing. You got to have personality. You got to get along with the team, like, you know, no kook factor. Whereas now it's like, I think a lot of qualities that back then were shunned away from are semi-rewarded now. Like that kind of loudmouth, rah-rah, lots of attention guy, like, wasn't cool back then. You know, It was like, it was kind of annoying. And like, you know, your teams had a dynamic and people didn't want to deal with this guy, like, you know, especially, God forbid, you were the new guy on the team and you're just being too loud, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, so I don't want to cut you off. So, look, you're one. Not a lot of people know this. You're one of like the few people really from Philadelphia, deep South Philly.
No, I wasn't born there. I wasn't born. You're wrong. I wasn't born there, but yeah, I'm primarily Philadelphia. Yes.
But dude, I've been to your house before. It's like Joey Merlino block. I can see Veteran
Yeah.
Stadium from your house at the time, the Spectrum.
Uncle Joey grew up 4 houses down from me.
So how do you go? How do you go from young teenage kid in Philly skating downtown to what you and you're the king of this is not giving yourself credit for the amazing shit that you do that you have done and have put together. You manage one of the best skateboarding teams at literally the pinnacle of the company's success.
Yeah.
So
No,
how do
I
you,
mean,
how
I
do you
managed
find
it.
yourself into that situation, and when you look back on it, what does that mean to you?
Well, fuck. I mean, so you're asking like how I got hired by Alien? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
how do you even get the alien
Um,
team
I,
manager job at
I
that
mean,
point?
I like any kid that picks up a skateboard. I'm pretty sure that there's not a kid that starts skating that doesn't want to be sponsored. You know that like, in hindsight, dude, I never had it. Like I wasn't even close. I wasn't even in the ballpark. I wanted it. I never had it, and I was, as Rob Deerdeck dubbed me at one point in my life, a hobby skater, which is like, it was all a lifestyle thing to me, which it was. There's plenty. I was just as down to chill at loving some 95 Air Maxes as I was to skate. And
Yeah,
like, but as luck would have it, like Josh and I were super close. Like Josh moved to Philly, and for whatever reason, I don't know, we got really close. It was like he basically spent most of his time with me and G. Like, and uh, so Rob came to Philly, and Josh couldn't put him up at his house, so he stayed. I had like the Philly flop house. Everyone skated and stayed in my place. I mean, literally, you went to the skate shop, they sent you to my house if you
that's
never
it.
met me, and like there was always 10 to 12 kids just crashing on my floor, and so. It was cool. It was a good time. I mean, you didn't really care about much back then. And I had this cool little duplex not far from Nocturnal and Threads and Sleds skate shops. But long story short, Joe Castrucci, I broke my ankle really bad, and I was laid up for a summer. Like literally, said I had blood in my leg. I had to keep it elevated for 3 months. I left my house twice. I put on like 30 pounds when I was like 20, which I didn't even know how to deal with. I mean, clearly, still fighting to get those off at the moment, but we're still, you know. Uh, so I was lost, and at the time, everyone had one of two jobs in Philly, which was you're either delivering pizzas for Bertucci's
Mm-hmm.
or you valeted at the Marriott. We all did it. And it was like
Yeah.
a job that allowed us to like make some cash, pay your rent. No one really lived extravagantly back then. So it was literally, there was like 10 skaters living in one house, and you paid your rent and, you know, uh, so long story short, I got out. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And
Someone said you were quarantined 20 years ahead of time.
basically, yeah, I was. I did. I literally I left the house twice. I went to this club Fluid on crutches one night, biggest mistake of my life, and I went to see the movie Blair Witch Project, and that was the only time I left my house. I got really fat. I discovered AOL chat rooms, for better or worse. And
What was your username? Do you remember?
yeah, dude, cell 619, and
like
everyone
that
thought I was like in jail, and it was just my cell phone was a 215-619 number, and I just couldn't think of anything.
That's sick.
Yeah, I did get hit by a car, G, but that was a different time in my life.
My AOL name was Ride or Die JG23. How terrible is that?
It's amazing. And so, long story short, Joe Castrucci, like my parents had split up, and I moved out of my Bainbridge party apartment down to hang out with my mom for a little bit and help her kind of nurse through the wounds of what she was going through. And because like everyone that knows me knows that like my family was a very open. You always had a door, a place to crash, a meal at my mom's house, and I mean, everyone ate dinner at my mom's house. There wasn't a person that I wasn't friends with that didn't eat there. And Castrucci was crashing with me, and because once again, and this is Castrucci's first job at Alien was actually graphics and filming. Because Alien was so small back then, it was just on the brink of blowing up. And Carter and Hill are the type of dudes that, like, they're salt of the earth guys. It's like job titles didn't mean shit. You do whatever you're given. And Castrucci is, as we all know, one of the most talented humans alive. And so he had just started developing the motion graphics for Alien, but was doing boards, I believe, and filming, and he was crashing at my house. And this was actually the trip where Carter had bought him this shitty ass van, which I'm pretty sure that Bill inherited this van. It was a piece of shit. It was cooking hot in the summer, blah blah blah. But anyway, because Shusey was like, hey, Carter just got married and doesn't want to do the Alien team manager stuff anymore. And he's like, you should try and get the job. And I was friends with everyone at the time. Like, they had not gotten rid, like Dylan, those guys had just gotten on, but they hadn't gotten rid of like Scott Conklin yet. And Conklin and a bunch of Florida guys had just crashed in my old place. So I kind of had everyone's voucher.
Yeah.
Like
that's and that's where like the Conklin back lip shove up the Queen state. Yeah.
So long story short, I went to Rob, and Rob's like, yeah, I'll call Carter right now. And Kalis, this is really funny, right? So I knew, and anyone that knows me knows, like, I like a good party as much as the next guy, but I'm not an idiot. And like, I knew that getting that job, and it was so important to me because there was no opportunity in Philly. It's like, dude, you're getting sponsored, or you're a filmer or a photographer, and that's it. No one's paying their bill unless you were, the skate shop, obviously, but that was it. There was no, like, I was thinking I wanted to manage rappers, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So so basically, long story short, Kalis called Carter from Sub-Zero Skate Shop when he had that brick cell phone and was like, yo, Carter, like, this is my boy. He gets us into all the clubs. And I was like, oh, fuck, Josh. Like, he used to make me sound like I'm just, like, this party guy.
Yeah.
So, luckily, a week or two later, Rob told me, he's like, Carter's staying in Philly. There was a class action lawsuit against Tech Decks. And he was staying at this place called the President's Club, which I shot, I believe, 50-50 or tail slid the curve, the ledge out in front on Broad Street.
Yeah.
And it was like this private club. You had to be a member. You had to wear a suit full time. And this was pre-cell phones, basically. Well, people had them, but you were like Josh, who was like spending like $1,000 a month to have 200 minutes or some bullshit. But like so I sat out front all day. I went and I posted up, and I was like, I just got to meet this guy and just fucking plead my case to him. And I sat out front, and fucking nothing. I didn't see him all day. And I was like, fuck. So I went to the payphone. I called Rob, and I was like, can you call Carter and see where he's at? And then I was like, I'll call you in like 20 minutes. And so they Rob, I believe, called me and was like, I think he's going to go to Nocturnal to say what's up to Carrie and Lindsay. And I basically, my like, it was like a moment of truth moment in my life where it was like, okay, if I leave here, I'm running the risk. And he was like leaving the next morning. And I was like, I'm running the risk of possibly never seeing this man. The only thing he knows of me is like Kalis, who was his biggest rider at the time, being like, I'm the guy that gets everyone into the clubs, which is like the worst thing you could have when you're applying for a job. And then was like, so I was either stay here and wait it out and maybe never see him. I don't know. Maybe there's an entrance. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Or make a run for it. And dude, I ran from Broad Street to 4th and South faster than I've ever run in my life.
And that's a mission. It's not like I mean, it's not the longest, but it's not. That's definitely not a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah.
Josh said, I don't know.
And I got there and he wasn't there, and I was devastated. And I thought I had missed him or something. So I asked Lindsay, I'm like, has Carter been here? She's like, no, but he didn't say he was definitely coming by. He just said, I might come by. And I'm sitting there watching a video. All right. So this guy comes in, and I'd only seen, there's only one picture of Carter at that time. And he's like, he's with Josh at a trade show, and he had like a ponytail, and they're wearing like lanyards. And that's the only thing I knew of what he looked like. And I'm telling you, like 5 minutes before they close, he walks in, and my heart drops. I'm like, man, like I'm shy, kind of. Once you get to know me, I don't shut the fuck up. But like I don't outwardly approach anyone. So he was just like, sitting there watching the video, and he's about to leave, and it was just like moment of the truth, moment of truth, moment of truth, and like I'm sweating, I'm shaking. I was just like, "Hey, are you Chris?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he was like, I was like, "I'm Nino," and I was like, "How are you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Josh talked to me about you." And I was like, my roommate at the time was this guy Mason Warner, and or was my roommate, and he was DJing around the corner of this little like bar or restaurant. I was like, "Hey, like." I probably seemed, or I was tried to seem like I was like much older than I was. I was like 20, I think. And I was like, yeah, like, can I take you for a beer and some food around the corner to talk to you? And like, basically just tried to seem as mature as I could and cool as I could to get the job. And I spoke to him. He was like, yeah, like, I like the idea. Like, I'm slowing down with doing that stuff. We definitely need someone. Everyone really likes you. He's like, let me talk to my partner, and I'll get back to you. And he, like, 2 weeks went by, and I called him, and he was like, hey, like, it's me and Mike Hill, like, and got called. They asked me some random questions, just like stupid shit. And I was a valet at the time, and it was in the middle of a massive snowstorm in Philly, and then I got the job right then and there. It was like a moment of truth, It was like, and it was life defining. That job has set me up for better or worse. I've never had a job interview since then. I just did a resume for my first time, or like a LinkedIn, like 2 years ago. Like Chris Carter, Josh, and Rob and Joe all vouching for me, like changed my life forever. And it was like, it's getting out of Philly. I mean, getting out of Philly on the team manager ticket was like unheard of. You know what I mean? Like Bill was making a living, G was making a living, like Adam Wallacavage and, Dan Wolf and, like this pro skaters and a couple of sponsor dudes getting the money they were, but that was it. Like there was no opportunity. Nothing. And it's like,
and so you were there, and this is early development stages of photosynthesis. Into the Habitat merger.
No, Habitat was out at that time. They had just started it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So through photosynthesis, I mean, I guess I'm just trying to think. I was just trying to think of some to you, was there any skaters? I mean, obviously Josh, but outside of Josh, which guys did you really like enjoy working with, enjoy their skating?
Oh, I mean, there's stories forever. I mean, we were kids, so it's like it'd be different if now, like, I got my balls busted left, right, and center because that's what you did to team managers back then.
Hell yeah.
It's like, I mean, dude, I would say like, I mean, I like, Josh was just like he was so motivated and unstoppable back then. I mean, the guy, I didn't need to do anything for him. There was no people, there really wasn't anyone that I had to like be the guy that like came down on anyone, I mean, unfortunately, Carter, I remember, because I would go out to Ohio like pretty much a week for every month. And I would
Mason, happy birthday.
Oh, is it me?
Happy belated.
What up, Mason? He just, I don't know if he was on, if he missed it or not, but he just got his moment.
Mason,
and
I don't want to cut you off, but look, you introduced me to Mason. Mason got me the job at Ubik. And like all of the sneaker and clothing stuff that I know now all came from them. I didn't know SKU numbers. The best thing that ever happened was they stuck me in the stock room for the first like month until Mason was like, yo, you can't have Jimmy in the back.
They asked me to do it when they were in the gallery. I did 2 days on the floor there, and it was a fucking nightmare. It's the only time I've ever worked retail in my life, and I wanted to kill myself.
Nah, but all right, so we'll get into Ubik in the gallery because that's a topic in itself. But yeah, I guess all those guys, it was such a motivating scene that was like you didn't really.
Oh, dude, it was
pumped back then.
But it was also, man, like everyone, it was a good thing, but it was crazy because everyone was super competitive because there was so much fucking talent, dude. You had in Philly, you had Josh Carey, Tim Wenning, Pops, Plahowski. This is, I mean, there were you had Ricky and all those guys, but they were all in the corner. But
Pat
Pat was there.
Little Pat,
you know, even in the mix, you had Stevie, you know, like you had a lot of dudes that were so fucking good, man. But
Yeah.
like on the alien habitat teams alone, it was just super competitive. You know, the video was so important, and I think in Philly, a lot of people don't realize that, like, it's for Josh especially, I think, was the weight of like the pride of knowing what it's like to be a part of the workshop for as long as he was at that time.
Yeah.
And Carter being this father figure, opening it up to this habitat side of, like, you know, with a different vibe, but all being the same thing, and like really feeling like, I just think Josh naturally, maybe subconsciously, just pushed himself to fucking own that era, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
he definitely, and I think he set a bar for all those guys.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, in different ways, of course, you know, Carrie put out a ton of footage. Wenning they all did their own different versions of it, you know? And like, but yeah, it was like, I mean, I didn't really, honestly, as a team manager at that time, because team managers at the time didn't really film, and then it kind of became that team managers were filmers, and so I didn't. Truthfully, I just made sure everyone had a photo for when they had an ad, and they had boards every month, and like, then I got yelled at if anyone's check was like a day late, or they wanted it in advance for the next month, you know, and that was really it, you know.
I remember there was one trip I met you down at Tampa Am, and
yeah, you guys, Vern drove. I was going through some personal shit at the time, so I'd stay behind, and Vern drove the alien van down, and you had Russ Milligan in the van.
We had like all of Philly in the van. Literally, everyone was wasted before we even left the city.
Yeah,
man, it was insane. It was literally the craziest trip. It was Renaud, Nix, Freddie, Slahowski, Timoshiel, Damien.
Yeah, I'm
having
trauma flashbacks as we speak right now.
And Mary, I think you guys had I think you guys put up half the bill to put everyone, because it was a slap kind of trip.
No, it was slap. I think gave Vern gas money. That was it.
Gotcha.
Alien, at the time, Carter was like, you know, Alien was doing so well. Carter didn't give a shit. And like, you guys got rooms at the La Quinta where I'm pretty sure there was a person murdered in every one of those rooms.
Dude, it was a gnarly trip in the skating that the guys got done, and then just like, but you send a bunch of like bunch of kids that had probably been cooped up in Philly for like a month of winter to like some warm weather with Meinholtz, like prime Meinholtz as the tour guide. It was
and Vern like being the responsible one, like
Vern, it was like the 2-month period that Vern like
fell off the wagon.
But it was incredible.
Yeah, but it was great, man.
But look, I remember being at Tampa, and you're like, yo, I want you to
Alex,
introduce you to Carter, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I flew down and Carter met us down there. That's why. Yeah.
And I remember meeting him and being like, dude, this is the guy that has the coolest skateboard company in the world right now. And it was like
fucking ponytail, man.
Dude, it was ponytail. It was like big jean shorts. It was socks and like suede sandals, and just being super nice and just being like, yo, my mind frame was like everything was a learning experience. So it was like, yo, the guy that runs this gnarly business doesn't have to be the dude in like Air Max 95s and like Levi pair jeans or something.
Yeah, I mean, Carter's a different dude, man. I mean, you think that's like, Hill's just polar opposite of Carter's. Carter was to all of us, you know what I mean? So it's like Hill's a like reclusive artist who, he's just doesn't even talk. I mean, Carter's just, holds up the spot, super funny, everything. He's a great dude. So, all
right. So look, so you do the alien job for a while, and then you end up moving forward. You go to work for Zoo. Yeah. You're taking the train up to New York pretty regularly, right? From Philly to New York.
What, during alien times?
No. When you're working for Zoo.
Yeah, so I essentially, basically what happened was there was that final the final X Games where they claimed, what was it, Mayor Street? Yeah. It was kind of a piece of shit, and like lied, and Carrie did that 180 ollie over him at Love, and then literally they shut down Love literally the next day, the very next day, and like
Josh, more alien talk.
I mean, we could tell tour stories, Josh, if you want. Just let me know which one you want.
I I can't go backwards right now. I got to go forward, Josh.
And then, so the reason, basically what happened was Carter asked me to move to Ohio because everyone was kind of leaving Philly. Josh had bought this really amazing house in Center City, so he was there to stay, and he was mobile. Pulowski and Pops had moved to
New York.
He'd moved to New York, and I want to say like Tim and Wenny had even stopped. They didn't have their place in Philly anymore.
Yeah. Dude, that was a hard time, man. That was honestly
Well, everyone just kind of it's splintered everyone up because even if we weren't all homies, we all saw each other love every day. It didn't matter, Yeah. So it was like, and you had Cole coming down and Bam popping up. It was always like you just knew it was there, and then it was like enough.
Then it was
enough.
gone.
Yeah, it was just literally like it was over with.
Then it was gone.
Like,
that was like the hardest thing, man. I remember like I probably didn't skate for a little bit, and it was also right around the time that the Aesthetic Zoo merger happened. So it was just like
no. That was before Aesthetic Zoo happened because I wasn't working at Zoo when that happened. What happened? That's the reason why. Basically, Carter asked me just probably a month after all that happened if I would go to Ohio, and I was like, I can't live out there. I was like, everyone's overweight, they look depressed, everyone has diabetes, it looks awful, and like I just couldn't do it. So Carter was really cool. He gave me kind of like a severance paycheck. That was at the time not much, but it was enough to get me through. And I literally got a phone call not less than a week after I got, let go, whatever, from Alien. And it was my friend Matt Fontana, who I met through Mason, who was basically like, hey, I heard that you're not at Alien Workshop anymore. Would you come up and meet everyone at Zoo? We just bought the company at Echo, and I was like, okay, and there was nowhere else to work, and I was like, dude, I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. I had gotten down to, it came down to me in that week period of time, had come down to, I'd been talking to Ken Block, and I had to write all this stuff like fake press releases, and it came down to me and Brian Dvorak as the DC team manager, which at the time, the DC team manager, dude, you got like a pinky ring, you got like a Lincoln Navigator on rims rented or leased. It was like you were killing it. You got a company card, the whole
crazy perks.
But Ken didn't want the responsibility of moving me to California and it not working out, and then I'm trapped in Cali. So that was actually 1999, Brian, but close. So anyway, long story short, I walked in. I knew everyone that worked at Alien. I met with Pang and Eli and everyone. It went really well. And then they were like, you just now have to. And they had bought this crazy new. They had spent like a couple $1 million on this crazy. Yeah, Dvorak, exactly. And they had spent this crazy, like millions of dollars on this showroom in Midtown. And everyone was like, look, like as far as we're concerned, you got the job. You just have to get through Seth. And Seth was Mark Echo's partner and, definitely a psycho on every level. And so my interview with him was he was sitting in a room and he was tapping his leg at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And so at the time, Zoo was they didn't understand like Echo guys didn't understand why you can't just buy someone. And Josh can attest to this. They tried to get him and Stevie for like some asinine amount of. We'll get there, G. I promise, if we can. And but they tried to buy Josh and Stevie for like some crazy amount of money because they didn't really care about the skateboards. They only cared about the clothing.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to sell clothes. That's all they gave a fuck about. Yeah. So for them, they looked at getting a skater for like $5,000 a month was so much cheaper than getting one ad with Fat Joe for like $100,000 for Echo Eyewear or some bullshit. Yeah. So like, they were like swinging their meat around. And basically, long story short, Seth asked me one question. He goes, if I was to tell you that I was going to pay Chad Muska $25,000 a month to ride for Zoo York, what would you say? And I told him, I was like, I'll tell you what, this interview's over because if you guys are running the company that way, then you guys won't be in business in a year. And he goes, okay, you have the job. And he got up and he walked out. Because at the time, too, like, Muska wasn't skating. He was doing this Muska Beats thing. And it was just like, you know, you had to skate at that time. Like, you couldn't fuck around. Like, you had a very short period of time if you weren't skating. And I was in, like, 25 grand a month was fucking unheard of at the time. So it was like, whatever, you know?
Yo, so, all right. G just pointed out something. And I don't want to waste too much time on the zoo era. No disrespect to Zoo York. Or your time there, or the hard work that you gave to the company.
I didn't work that hard there.
So look, it's like 2003. I'm skating down South Street. I'm on like 4th and South, and I hear Jimmy, and I look over, and it's you, and there's a gang of people around you. It's right around where the Reebok store was.
Yeah, I know exactly where this story's going. Go ahead.
And I come over, and you're like, yo. And this is what I was trying to explain in your birthday caption the other day. But you're like, Jimmy, this is Pharrell. Pharrell, this is Jimmy. And it was mid Sprite Liquid Mix tour, and you're like, yo, we just got done running around. It was the Philly stop of that tour. We were just at the Diesel store. I just took them over to Ubik to get some dunks because they were the only place that had like dunks at the time.
It wasn't Diesel. It was A Man's Image on South Street. Yeah.
So that's where you and Pharrell started a friendship and a relationship was during that time period at Zoo?
Yeah. Well, right before I have this, like, she's like my sister. Her name is Nandy Smythe. And Nandy had started working for, do you remember Nandy, of course?
Yeah, hell yeah.
She worked for Jazzy Jeff at the time. She left working for Jazzy Jeff to move to New York to go work for Russell Simmons. And they basically, Russell Simmons didn't have offices, so she was working on a Def Jam, and she called me and was like, hey, there's this music producer named Pharrell. And like at the time, like, I don't even think Super Thug was out, but she was like, his name is Pharrell. He's wearing all these skate T-shirts. You should send him some Alien stuff. And this is, 1998, before quote unquote placement was the term for it, So I called Carter, and Carter was like, no, I'm not sending anything to a rapper. He's like,
dude, think about it. People were skating held so much value at that point that they weren't sending seating packages to rappers.
No,
now first thing you do, what's the first day? What are you going to do? First day on the job? Oh, I'm going to send whatever fucking rapper I know.
I mean, they did it at Echo back then, but it was more at Echo. The way Echo did it
was transactional, though.
It was very transactional, but they also had, to them, it wasn't, you didn't send the shit in, because there was no social media. So if you didn't do it for them and place it somewhere and put it in a magazine, they didn't fucking care. And it never got seen except for whoever saw them that day. So,
and there was like legit rap brands back then that most rappers were too. So,
which was Echo was one of them. And then but Echo was much more about, their whole thing was like brand loyalty with the people. So they had these they would bring you in the office. You got, like custom, like you get all this food, and they would be like, these girls that were always there hanging out that were like, they'd bring you your fucking clothes and like whatever, blah, blah, blah. And like, it was much more about the experience and the flattery of it. So you're like, oh, every time I go to New York, I want to hit up Echo. And their thing was like hedging their bets on just giving you so much shit that it always ended up in your rotation.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I give a dude a t-shirt, take a photo, he could take it off. I don't give a shit if he ever wears it again. I got the photo, So, but, yeah, so Nandy called me. I called Carter. Carter said, no, I'm not sending anything to a rapper, even though I can't fathom what the promo budget for all the riders at Alien and Habitat was every month.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, fine. Then we went to Zoo, and I was the quote-unquote director of marketing, and I was so in over my head, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I went from placing 5 skate magazine ads a month to now I had $1 million marketing budget for 1 year, and I did not know what to do with it. I had no idea. And the thing is, they were like, you have to spend this because of the way we budget.
Yeah, I can't. I don't mean to cut you off. Some of these bars that we're getting on this scroller are fire, man. Echo with the quotes and the tees.
Dude, it's so true.
Yeah. God.
But
so, all right, keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I I had seen some images of Pharrell and thought he was cool and like was like dressing. He had like rock and roll T-shirts on, and he had this old Rolling Stones trucker hat that he was wearing, and he had like a super iced out watch. He just looked different at the time. The music was super good, and I was just like, hey, like, let's put an ad, or let's put these guys, do something with them.
Mhm.
And I put together this little like kind of package at the time, and I took it to Seth, and Seth, the owner of Echo at the time, looks me in the face, practically fuming that I wasted his time, and he literally holds a photo up of Pharrell and goes, "Do you think this guy's going to be around in 3 years? Because I don't think so."
Damn.
And I was like, okay, that's, ironic to say the least. But so he basically, I fought him, and I was stupid. I came from skateboarding. I'm just like, we give shit, we become friends. I give you more shit, you wear my shit. And they were transactional, like you said. They're like, just pay him, get the fucking ad shot, and that's it.
Call it a day, yeah.
Keep it pushing, move on to the next guy. And I was like, I wanted them to wear our shit, like, and he played me the NERD album the first time I met him, and I was like, this is so crazy and different. Like, I just want these guys to be cool with us,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
And at that time too, our perception of Zoo York had changed because Zoo was the illest shit ever. Like, they weren't the best skaters; they were just the coolest skaters.
Yeah.
It's like, Pang, Robbie and Jimmy, Harold, all those dudes. They dressed cool. They hung out with fucking models. They hung out with celebrities. They went to best clubs in New York. Like, it was like a whole different thing. And then Echo came in and like rapified, or tried to at least, and it went sideways a little bit.
Yeah.
But still,
So-
it was what it was. So, but
so you guys start working. I would like to hear. There's all right. Two things. The first, like, what was that initial dialogue like when the conversation did start to become about ice cream? And then another factor that I think in the years as it was going through and the years that followed, what was so incredible to me, as in real time it was, and in retrospect, was you framed this thing to be a real fucking skate program and like, even the very first time you had reached out to me, I remember sitting outside of Annenberg Hall at Temple, and you're like, look, the ads are going to look like this. We'll have the ability to, if there's a spot that you want to rent out to shoot a photo of, we'll be able to do that. The trips will go to, dude, you would have us in Dayton, Ohio for an ice cream skate trip, because that's where, at the time, there was good skate energy. Like,
well, Rob had the skate plaza, and like, that's what it was about.
The framework that you built around it from the very beginning, and I think when the criticism started to come in, that was always something that I took so personal. Was like, I don't think these people realize, like, the person in charge that put this together did it from such a natural and real skate perspective, And we were following that plan through. What are we doing in the middle of fucking Louisville? Yo, there's a crazy triple set here that, like, these guys that we know through Alien know about this spot. It's like,
that was your one homie took us there. I forget his name. That kid was really cool.
Chris Henderson. He was a DNA kid.
Yeah, like, and that was the one that Booker Nollie frontside flipped, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, all of those things that you put together to launch the program with were so core and rooted in, like, the most genuine part of skateboarding. You know what I mean? Like, from a commercial perspective and a real, rootsy perspective. So, just what were those early conversations like, and then just what was your kind of train of thought going into building out this program?
Oh, man. I mean, believe it or not, it's really funny. It's like, it seems like it's so mellow now, but like, there were nights because skateboarding was at that point, like, that was probably right before skateboarding fell off, like, right when it was steering itself to go off the cliff, we'll say. And it was like, I would literally, like, I was so excited to do it, and because I was also, like, wanting to go into clothing and, like, you know, do all these things that, like, you know, because I was super into Bathing Ape at the time and being able to be like so close to that. And like, you know, it was funny because I remember like literally kind of losing sleep over like, did I sell skateboarding out? Like, I know it sounds stupid,
Yeah.
especially looking at it now where like you have kids that are literally giving up lucrative sponsorships to get free shoes from Louis Vuitton to skate in. And it was like, it was, to me, it was like stressful. And I just had to trust that like, this is going to go okay. You know,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
thing, ultimately, it was like, man, like, it was like, they, you know, Pharrell's a really good dude, and like as you know, like at the time, part of it was like he and I were friends for so long at that point that what really bothered me was uh when he started talking about doing ice cream, and there was like this handful of skaters that were partying heavy in Hollywood and rubbing shoulders with him that
Mhm.
like they were all trying to hustle checks out of him and be like, yeah, yeah, I'll ride for it for $1 million a year. And like, you know, it was just so funny to me. And like, I just kind of got bummed. I won't name any names, obviously, but like, Pharrell didn't know any better because he's busy making millions of dollars making a hit every night of his life in the
Mhm.
studio. So like, and he like we hung out a lot. So to me, I was kind of like, fuck, like, you know. And even the way I got hired was funny because he and I had talked about it, and it didn't seem like a priority to him at the time. And he pocket dialed me from Paris at like 4 in the morning and blew my phone up. And I don't know who he was trying to get in touch with. And I picked up the phone. I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "What do you mean? You called me?" He's like, "It's Pharrell." And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Oh shit! Like I wanted to talk to you anyway." And that's actually like started me getting the hiring process. You
Get
know.
out of here.
Um,
I remember, yeah, that from the time period
Chiffon.
that, what did it say?
Chiffon's
Oh my God. Yeah, he's on fire. But I
Uh,
remember like the hold period between like, all right, Nino, let's do it. And you're like, all right, cool, we're gonna get this together. Like that hold pattern we were in between like the first official phone call with like Rob
oh,
Walker
it's awful. And we
was
were
just,
all waiting to get paid.
dude, just
They,
every day, just sitting like when it
well,
started.
they didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they had this licensing deal for the boutiques, and they were like trying. They basically were just trying to get Reebok to pay for it because they like I had given them this budget, and they were like, "Fuck, that's a lot of money. Let's see if we can get some." At the time, they were so hot, and people were throwing checks at them. So they were like, "Let's see." They tried to get Paramount Pictures to pay for it as if it was like a touring video. They tried to get like I was in all these meetings, and it was always so strange and weird to me. But I was like, "Fuck!" Like I just want to make this happen at this point because I'd already made the promise to you, to Jacob's mom. Like I had to call his mom because he was 15 at the time,
Yeah.
and like was talking to her on a regular basis. And
Uh,
you know, it was it was so basically Pharrell came to me and was like, "What do you like? What's the value in all of this?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, you're the one that wanted to do it." So ultimately, he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm going to pay for it." And that's why I think for us as well, like further down the road, if we get into the whole hundreds thing and all of that, is that people that attacked Pharrell, like this guy was paying us out of his pocket,
yeah.
and like all these people wanted to shit on him so hard. Meanwhile, they all want to get next to him to get, you know, free tickets or be in a video or some
Yeah.
shit like that. But then they're turning around shitting on you guys, shitting on him. And it's like, look, the guy, he makes a lot of money, but like, and that money could go to a cousin if he chose to do it. He could buy a fucking watch. It's his money. He
Yeah.
chose to pay. And I mean, I did the budgets, you know, it's like taking 20 kids with, you know, because also a lot of things, something
Dude,
that people don't know about us at the time is that like Eric Stricker was the only dude in skateboarding and the editorial side that had our back, rest his soul. And
yeah.
like he was like, look, like I'll send dudes out, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
He's like, no one here is backing this, but he's like, I want to give you guys a shot. And that's where he sent Jaya Bondarov on the first trip with us.
Yeah.
You know, he did all this
God,
stuff
rest
that
in
was
R.I.P.
yeah,
Jaya. Jaya was cool as fuck.
yeah, Jaya was great, you know, and it was like but like you put trips like that together, those things add up. And Pharrell is cutting the check sight unseen. He just trusted us, he trusted me, and like
Yeah.
that's why when people did attack him, it became a very fucking personal issue with us, you know,
Yeah.
because as you know, like the guy, like we went to Virginia, Cato took us out with his parents. Like, we all knew his family. Like, it was a
Yeah.
very personal thing for us. And so when we got attacked, we just took it on as our own battle. You know?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say to the criticism is, like, all of that noise that clearly landed on the wrong side of history, because here we sit,
Yeah, I mean,
2020,
obviously.
and a lot of those same talking heads would, you know, what would they do for that type of attention right now? You know?
Yeah, I mean, they
You
fucking
know?
killed it. Like,
So,
if there was an ice cream 2020, those kids would be fucking killing themselves for Instagram photos and everything else. And
yeah,
you know, it's. I mean, I had no idea, and I was even short-sighted in what he wanted to accomplish, in the sense that the reason he came, when he was like, I want an all-black skates, you know, I'm like, Pharrell, you can't do that. I'm like, you got to understand. I was like, in skateboarding, no one gives a shit. I was like, skateboarding might be the ultimate equalizer of any activity that people can participate in, because your socioeconomic background doesn't matter, your ethnicity doesn't matter, none of it matters.
no,
Dumb,
you're
smart,
connected by a
anything. It's just like,
skateboard.
you see people, they skate, you want to be their friend because you want to be around other skaters.
That's it.
It's
Yeah,
all like a like-minded thing. So, you know, it was like, to me, he wanted. And I was like, look, like, I have this kid in Philly. I think you just give him a shot. And I think we flew you out, if I remember correctly. I took you to the studio to hang out for a session or something. And maybe that's the way it went down. And, but nevertheless, yeah, it was like, it's just like, that's how to me, I felt, and I didn't realize that there was going to be this long-term impact of him basically wanting to speak to, you know, young black kids and be like, look, like, rapping's cool, basketball's cool, but, like, you know, trapping's cool, whatever, but, like, you have this whole other lane of skateboarders who live this cool life. They dress cool, they travel, they do cool shit, they ride a skateboard all day, and they get paid for it. Like,
yeah,
check it out, and here's the dudes to check it out for. You
yeah,
know, like, I didn't understand how deep that would really go, you
yeah,
know, and then, like, that also being a part of, like, the, you know, it's the motif of bright colors and all over prints. Like, I mean,
yeah.
it's imprinted on that time
There's a lot
socially
of
in a fashion that, like, I didn't even realize was going to happen.
yeah. That and I think that is why when we sit here, April 1st, 2020, and it still resonates with people, and it just still, yo, there's days where, like, so many kids will hit me. I'll be like, yo, how did this thing just come out? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's still that conversation is still so present. And it's because of these different slices of the pie, like you said, from the clothing aspect of it, the social aspect of it, the skate side of it. There was just so many layers to that onion of ice cream.
Yeah, there was.
Oh,
It's Nick Locasal.
oh yeah, Nick, what up? But yeah, so and that's why I also wanted to get on here with you, because it's like, yo, that was something that you put together, like, literally from the ground up, man, and you don't take any credit for it. You don't take credit for much, man, and that was, like, such a game changer for so many people, including myself. You know what I mean? Like, when I was able to do things and still continue to do things that are a direct result of that, and yeah, man, I always wanted, you know, I hope it's taken me years, because me and you were like brothers, you know what I mean? Like, you don't always tell your brothers exactly how you feel.
Fucking chiffon, dude.
Nino takes credit. Nah, he doesn't, man. He really doesn't. He's it's mind-boggling, man, because it's like, dude, I'm gonna keep posting these photos from ice cream until I'm fucking 100, man. Like, because that's how proud I am of it.
Of course, Mario in here too, talking shit.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just wanted you like, dude, those years of these things that you put together, man, are so special. And it's like, whether it's the orange cassette tape or the DVD, you know. So yeah, but
I mean, it was, you know, it was unique. I mean, I feel like anyone that gets involved in skateboarding, dude, is like, it's a special choice, and it affects your life, and, like, you know, it affects your life, and, like, I think a really, like, I've always said this, is that, like, there's no activity anyone can do, right, that, like, football, basketball, any like organized sport or activity that like essentially you can do and you can go anywhere in the world and just go and see someone else.
Hold on, I got a surprise guest coming on. Hope everybody's having a good day, good evening. Hope today was a little bit less stressful than yesterday. Hope some bread came in.
Hey,
Yo, Scotty, you with the kids right now?
kids are in bed, bro. We East Coast time out here.
Oh,
Put my hat
yeah.
on because I need
Yo,
a haircut like a motherfucker. What up?
so we got the founder of Three Feet on here. I'm going to go out on the limb and
G.
say you single-handedly brought bait back.
Nah.
Will you accept that?
Might have played a part. Might have played a part. Nah.
Dude, nah, you played a major part then, man. You're in Detroit right
Yo.
now?
Yes, sir. Locked
You're in
up,
the
man.
D.
Yeah,
Yo,
man.
shit
Thankful
is
for
real.
this Michigan Square.